White Plains, New York. It's the suburbs of New York City. I grew up there. My mother's family was from White Plains. My dad's family is from Yonkers, New York. I remember one incident, my uncle, back then you could buy beer in the store, and my uncle would send me to get him a bottle of beer, and I ran to the store, brought the beer, and I ran back home not knowing that I was shaking the beer up and everything. So when he opened it, it all fizzled in his face, and he chased me out the house and stuff like that. So I said, oh, I'm pretty fast. Another incident happened in school. It was a classroom on the 3rd floor, and I had to go to the restroom. And the teacher wouldn't let me go. Said, no, you just sit down in your seat. And I had to go real bad, so I just went out the door and flew down those stairs and came back up. And so she sent me to the principal's office, not because I went to the bathroom, but she sent me to the principal's office because she said I was lying. Nobody could go that fast down 3 flights of stairs and do what you had to do and come back that fast. My junior year of high school, I joined the Marine Corps Reserves, hoping that our unit would get called up and I wouldn't have to go back and finish my senior year. But again, my unit did get called up, but because of my age and trying to forge my mother's signature so that I could go with them, they found out and they left me behind. So I had to say, oh no, now I gotta go back and finish my senior year. My friend and I, we said, we don't have our school letters. What kind of sport can we go out for? So we said, let's go out for track. So right away he went to the field events, and the coach asked me, what do you want to run? You want to be a sprinter? I said, no, those guys are too fast for me. So he said, okay, then you be a distance runner. So my first race, he put me in the half mile, and I was always finished behind our top runner. And when he would finish the race, he would run over to the side and bend over and throw up. And I told the coach, I said, well, this is not my event because I don't feel the way he does. So it must not be my event. So he said, okay, we'll put you in the mile. So my first mile race, I broke the school record, qualified for the state meeting. So I became a distance runner and only had about 3 more races, and I, earned my school letters. Even when I was stationed overseas, I ran just for the fun of it, and I won a big meet. I was the only Marine to win. And I had scholarship offers. The coach said, do you want to go away to college? I said, no. But then an incident happened. I won a meet, and I won a trip to Jamaica for a week. And the guy there said, you ought to go to school, you better yourself. And he saw where I lived at in Harlem, and he said, you could do better than this. So then I got interested and started answering the letters. And the reason why I picked Southern Illinois, because they actually came to my apartment and recruited me. My sophomore year, I set school records in every race that I ran. The Florida relays, I was the most valuable athlete. Kansas relays, MVP. Drake, I was the first American to break the 9 minutes for the 2 miles. It was all held by foreign athletes. And Fritz, he was my coach at Southern Illinois University. And when him and his wife used to go out, I used to watch his kids for him. So we became good friends.
Most people think Illinois and Chicago, but SIU was 8 hours by car south of Chicago. We should have been a southern state. And, it was bad for the African Americans at that time.
When we was down at a meet at Alabama, we went to eat before the meet, and of course, they didn't want to serve us, so we just turned around and walked out. Tennessee relays, the Tennessee Invitational, the coach planned, not my coach, but the coach from Tennessee, he planned some activities for the team. And one was a hayride. And he had dates for all the athletes, and then he told the coach, oh, I didn't know that he was on your team. I don't have a date for him. And I'm there to compete. I could care less about the date, but I didn't tell them, I didn't want to go anyhow. I'm trying to stay focused, not all activities would take your focus away from what you're there to do.
I coached him at Southern Illinois. He went to high altitude training in Adams State in Colorado. He trained out there with one of the top physiologists in the U.S. Oscar was much more accomplished than I was. He had been an Olympian. Actually, he was an Olympian before he went to college. Most guys are Olympians after college, but he was an Olympian before he went to college.
I didn't really think I was going to make the team because the Olympic Committee told everybody if you think you're going to make the team, make sure you bring your luggage so we don't have to send you back home and then you had to come back and this and that. I just came with an overnight bag because I didn't think I was going to make the team. Even though I was running well, I still needed to knock 20 seconds off of my 5,000 time. I was only the second American to qualify for 2 events. That was the 5,000 and 10,000. So it was a good experience, and they said, we told you to bring your bag. I said, well, I didn't think I was going to make the team. So anyhow, they had to send me back home to get my stuff, and it felt great because everybody said, oh, we saw you on TV, we saw you on TV, all the family and everything. Nowadays, when you make the Olympic team, you have competition to keep you in shape, keep you sharp. When I made the Olympic team, we had a whole month, and I didn't have any running in between. And so I was overtraining. I was running twice a day when I should have been just running once a day and maybe just concentrating on speed work. But nobody told me that. So when it came to my event, I had plenty of endurance, but no speed. So when I got back home from the Olympics, I ran my first marathon, which is 26 point some miles, and I won by over 4 minutes because I had all this endurance.
And he was unbeatable when he came back. Unfortunately, he stepped in a gopher hole on our golf course.
I was favored in the '68 Olympics, but I tore my Achilles tendon, and so I couldn't run. And the doctor said, well, you're never going to be able to run again. And I said, well, everything that I like to do involves running. So when I was laying on my back in the hospital, I talked to the Lord, and I said, Lord, if you make it possible for me to run again, I'll do whatever you say. My first race after that operation took me almost 6 months to get back in shape. So my first race I won. I took the newspaper clipping and I mailed it back to the doctor, who told me that I'd never be able to run again. And he was amazed because it was a serious injury.
Oscar and I came roughly the same time, within days of each other. Rowan was starting a track team in the spring of 1972.
They hired me as a professor and then part-time as a coach. And since I was dealing with so many young people, I said I probably need to get my life in order, you know, if I'm going to be dealing with them, and wanted to make an impression on them, I would have to let the Lord lead me, you know, to be an example for them like a big brother. We never had a losing season. In track and field, we have 21 national champions. We have over 120 All-Americans. We had Mike Juskis, Tavo Rivera, a half-miler, qualified for the Olympic trials. Rimkis, a distant runner, qualified for the Olympic trials. Gary Moore qualified for the Olympic trials in the hurdles, and he actually won a trip to Spain and Ireland for his running ability. So we had some pretty outstanding, and then Ringo made the 1980 Olympic team for Jamaica in the marathon.
You never turn this back on anyone, on any kid, and anyone. And a lot of us, I'm not going to tell you any lie, we gave him a hard time, you know. But for the betterment of us, he were able to see through that, because he knew to mold us and bring us along. And for some reason, maybe he had it in his head, figure we're going to be someday better people, even now. I don't turn my back on any kid that's out there that's running for me, because I know I can teach them things, and the things I'm teaching is based off of experiences, not anything that I learned in a book, you know? So, and I know that will help them. And some of the things is what I pick up from them, running for them.
I retired from coaching indoors. Why? Because all of the indoor meets were on Sunday. And here I am missing church from almost 4 or 5 months because of the meets were held on Sunday. And so I decided to, you know, to give up indoors, and then Fritz took that over. And then when I had the car accident and lost my vision, I retired from coaching in '93. and then retired from teaching in 2003. Never cut anybody, you know, because you never know how they're going to develop. If that was the thing, I probably would have never been here, because never would have gone out for track. And some people, it takes a while to develop their talent, and you just gotta never give up on them. It's always, there's a saying, what they said, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Always give somebody a chance, or always do your best, never say give up. The doctor told me I'd never be able to run again. The Marine reservists, the guys that were in my unit, told me I'd never make it in the regular Marines. I was too little in school. You'll never make it through college or anything like that. So whenever somebody tells you that you can't, then that's when you try your hardest.